Imagine working years on a major case, finally securing a multi-million-dollar contingency fee, only to watch a huge chunk disappear to taxes the moment you touch it. What if you could release those hard-earned qualified settlement dollars, completely offset the income tax, freeze their value for estate tax purposes, and then let them grow tax-free for generations? In this video, we will reveal a powerful strategy that combines a charitable lead annuity trust, a freeze partnership, and private placement life insurance. This approach doesn't just defrost your QSF dollars, it can multiply them for your family while delivering meaningful support to charity. Stay with me as we walk through exactly how this works.
All right, let's dive into a really powerful strategy, especially for you plaintiffs' attorneys out there. We're going to talk about how to take a tool you're probably already using, the Qualified Settlement Fund, or QSF, and transform it from just a way to delay taxes into an absolute powerhouse for building tax-free, multi-generational wealth. So if you're using a QSF to defer your contingency fees, you've got to ask yourself this question. Seriously, because deferring that income feels great right now, right? It feels like a smart move. But what you might not realize is that you could be accidentally setting up a huge, ticking tax time bomb for your family down the line. Okay, so just to make sure we're all on the same page, what is a QSF? Well, at its heart, it's basically an IRS-approved trust. It holds settlement money, and it lets you, the attorney, call the shots on when you actually take that income. It's a fantastic tool for managing your cash flow and avoiding getting pushed into a higher tax bracket. But for most people, that's where the story ends, and honestly, that's where the problem really begins. And that's the core issue right there. The very thing that makes the QSF so attractive, the ability to freeze your fees and put off paying taxes, well, that creates a brand new set of problems. That money is essentially stuck, and the legacy you're hoping to build with it is suddenly at risk from a whole bunch of future taxes and, just as importantly, missed opportunities for growth. You know, this number it's frankly pretty shocking when you see it. Up to 70% of your hard-earned fees could just be gone. Poof. Wiped out by the time that money actually gets to your family. And this isn't just one tax we're talking about. It's the devastating combination of multiple taxes and all the growth potential that was lost along the way. It's a staggering potential loss. So how in the world do you get to a 70% loss? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a multi-layered tax trap. First, whenever that money finally comes out of the QSF, bam, it's hit with ordinary income tax. Then, if you happen to pass away while the money's still in there, it gets included in your taxable estate. But here's the real kicker, what makes it so brutal. There is this rule called income in respect of a descendant, or IRD. It's a fancy term, but what it means is your heirs have to pay income tax on that money right after it just got hit with estate tax. It is a vicious 1-2 punch that can absolutely decimate the wealth you planned on passing down. Okay, so that's the problem. It's a big one. But what if you could completely dismantle that tax bomb? Well, there is a solution. It's an integrated strategy that uses 3 very specific financial tools, all working together perfectly to, you guessed it, defrost these assets and put them to work for your family completely tax-free. So the first piece of the puzzle we'll call the defroster. This is a charitable lead annuity trust, or a CLAT. Its main job is super simple, but incredibly powerful. It's designed to create a 100% charitable deduction that completely cancels out the income tax bill from your QSF distributions. So right off the bat, that first big tax hit, it's gone, neutralized. Okay, next up is the engine of our strategy, a freeze partnership. This is a really brilliant move for estate planning. What it does is it essentially freezes the value of the assets for estate tax purposes. So all the future growth, every single dollar of appreciation from this moment on gets shifted completely outside of your taxable estate and goes directly to your heirs. And every good engine needs fuel, right? Well, that's where the private placement life insurance policy, or PPLI, comes in. The partnership takes all of its assets and invests them inside this PPLI. Now, why would you do that? Because inside a PPLI, investments can grow and compound 100% tax-free. Think of it like a turbocharger, letting the assets grow like crazy without ever creating an annual tax bill. Okay, so we have our 3 components, the defroster, the engine, and the fuel. Now let's take a look at how they all connect, how they create this seamless, tax-free flow of money that ends up benefiting both the charities you care about and, of course, your family.
All right, let's follow the money here step by step. Step 1, your money moves from the QSF into the CLET, and that creates that huge immediate tax deduction. 2, the CLET then contributes those assets into the Freeze partnership. 3, your family's trust is set up to capture all the future growth from that partnership. 4, the partnership puts everything inside the PPLI where it just starts compounding, totally tax-free. 5, the PPLI makes tax-free loans back to the CLET, which allows the CLET to make its required annual payments to charity. And finally, step 6, when the term of the CLET is over, the whole thing dissolves, and all of the remaining assets, all of that supercharged, tax-free growth, passes directly to your family trust, completely free of estate taxes.
Now, I know that sounds like a lot of moving parts, but what really truly matters is the result at the end of the day. So what does this actually look like in a real-world scenario? What's the bottom line impact for your heirs? So let's just imagine for a second you have $10 million sitting in a QSF. You've basically got two paths you can take. Path 1 is the standard way. You just leave it there. That money is eventually going to get hammered by that brutal mix of income and estate taxes we talked about. Path 2 is using this integrated strategy we just laid out, where that tax hit gets wiped out from day one and the assets get to grow tax-free for your family. And the difference, I mean, look at this. It's absolutely staggering. If you go down that standard path, that $10 million gets chipped away by taxes, and your heirs might end up with, say, $6 million. But with the integrated strategy, because the assets are shielded from tax and are free to grow, your heirs could potentially receive $30 million. That's not a small difference. That is a five-fold increase in the legacy you're leaving behind. So the results are obviously incredibly powerful, but let's be clear, this is a very sophisticated strategy. It is definitely not a do-it-yourself project. So it's really important we go over a few of the key considerations and some of the extra benefits that come with it. This entire structure has to be built with absolute precision. As you can see, you need a team of experts in valuation, in tax law, and insurance to make sure you're navigating all the very specific IRS rules. Yes, it's complex, but for the right person and the right situation, the results are nothing short of transformative. And beyond just the massive tax savings for your heirs, there are other major benefits just baked right into the structure. You get incredible asset protection. The whole thing can be designed to be generation-skipping tax-proof. You get access to really sophisticated investments inside that PPLI. And, of course, you get to fulfill your charitable goals in the most tax-efficient way possible using pre-tax dollars. At the end of the day, it really all comes down to this single idea. This strategy takes what is essentially a tax-deferred liability and turns it into a multi-generational, tax-free asset. You're no longer just kicking a tax can down the road. You're fundamentally converting that future tax bill into a powerful compounding engine that can help secure your family's future for generations to come. So, we'll just leave you with this one last thought to chew on. It's not just about what you earn, it's about what your family gets to keep and what you can pass on. And as we've just seen, there are some pretty amazing ways to make sure your legacy isn't just preserved, but profoundly, powerfully amplified.
To learn more about tax savings, asset protection, privacy, and simplified reporting, go to ewp-financial.com.